Hi friends, welcome to our channel Knowledge Factory UPSC. Today in this lecture we are going to discuss the 6th chapter of NCERT Classics, and the name of chapter is Major Landforms of the Earth. Before going to the chapter, those who does not subscribe to my channel, subscribe now and like the video. Let's look into the chapter. This is very important chapter which mainly deals with mountains, plateaus, plains and different landforms, which may be very useful for NCERT exams, UPSC and state PSC exams. So go with this chapter, and it is very clear and very important chapter for your higher studies also. So let's look into the chapter. Some part of the lithosphere may be rugged and some are flat. That means there are several upward lifting and downward lifting of the earth surface, as we see in this picture. Okay, so how these upward shifting and downward shifting and breaks which were happening in this mountain ranges, that's very important matter for the concern. So these changes in the landforms are mainly due to the two process, that is internal process and external process. That is very important. What is internal process and what is external process? The changes that in the earth which is happening inside the earth is known as internal process, and the changes which were happening above the continent, that means above the earth surface, is known as external process. Okay, the second one, that is external process, which is due to the continuous wearing down and the rebuilding of the land surface, and the wearing away of the earth surface is called as erosion. Okay, so the second is external process, and it is a continuous wearing down and rebuilding of the land surface, and the wearing away of the earth surface is called as erosion. The surface being lowered by the process of erosion and rebuilt by the process of deposition. So the wearing away, that means the wearing away of the land from a portion of the earth, is known as erosion, and making it clear, that means the accumulation of these wear down particles in another portion is known as deposition. Okay, so this wearing down and deposition make the changes in the landforms. Okay, these two processes were carried by running water, ice and wind. Broadly, we can group the different landforms depending on the elevation and the slope as mountain, plateau and plains. Okay, so it's a brief introduction which says that the changes in the earth are of mainly two types, that are internal changes and the external changes. And the external process which involves erosion and deposition process, and the agent of the erosion and deposition is wind, water, ice and rivers. Okay, it causes elevation in slopes and plateaus and plains. So let's see the mountains. That means we are going to the detailed topics on the portions, that are mountains, plateaus and plains. First of all, we are going to discuss what is mountain. A mountain is any natural elevation of the earth surface. The mountain may have the small summit and the broad base. That means the mountain have the top, that means a sharp top and a broad base. Okay, it is considerably higher than the surrounding area. That means the area around the mountain is small, that of the mountain is higher. Okay, some mountains are very higher than the clouds, and as you go higher the climate become colder. That we have already discussed on the previous chapter. Those who does not watch that video, go through that video. That means you will be clear on that concept of height and their height, pressure and temperature. Okay, in mountains there are permanent frozen rivers of ice. They are called as glaciers. So what is glacier? In the mountains there are permanent frozen rivers of ice and they are called as glaciers. There are some mountains you cannot see as they are under the sea. That means there are also mountains under the sea. Because of the harsh climate, the less people live in the mountain area. Since the slopes are steep, the less land is available for farming. So the mountain ranges are not suitable for farming and living, because there is harsh climate and a steep slope which is not suitable for living and farming. Okay, we can find there is a picture which shows the fold mountain and the student showing how the fold mountains occurs. That means take a 2 or 3 pieces of paper and drag it together. That time we can find a crust like portion, and it shows the exact picture of the fold mountain. Okay, so there is a line which shows that in the same process our Himalaya and Alps are formed. So which means that Himalayan and Alps were fold mountains. Okay, it is a important point. So which ranges does Himalaya and Alps belong? Himalaya and Alps ranges belongs to fold mountains. Okay, so the mountains may be arranged in a line called as ranges. So what is ranges? Mountains may be arranged in a line known as ranges. Many mountain systems consist of a series of the parallel ranges extending over hundreds of kilometers. So several mountain ranges are extending over hundreds of kilometers. The Himalaya, Alps, Andes are the mountain ranges in Asia, Europe, and South America, in respectively. Okay. Then there are three types of mountains. They were known as fold mountain, block mountains, and volcanic mountains. These three are very important because each one is formed specifically and separately according to their geographical features. Himalaya mountains and Alps mountains are young fold mountains with a rugged relief and the high conical peak. That means Himalaya and the Alps are of this shape of mountain. That means rugged relief and conical shape. Okay. The mountains are vary in height and their shapes, and we see that the Himalaya mountains and the Alps mountains are very young fold mountains with a rugged relief and a high conical peak. The Aravalli ranges in the India is one of the oldest fold mountain system of the world. So Aravalli ranges in the India is one of the oldest fold mountain system in the world. The range has considerably worn down due to the process of erosion, and the Appalachians in North America and Ural mountains in the Russia have the round features of the low elevation. They are very old and the fold mountains. So let's see what is block mountains. Okay, first of all we have discussed what is mountains and mountain ranges, and there are three type of mountains. They are known as fold mountain, block mountain, and volcanic mountain. And there are also block mountains which are created when the large areas are broken and displaced vertically. So how does block mountains are created? The block mountains are created when the large areas are broken and displaced vertically. The uplifted blocks are termed as hostes and lowered blocks are called as garben. We can find in the picture that the upward portion is known as host and the downward portion is known as garben. The Rhine Valley and the Vosges mountain in the Europe are the example of such a mountain system. So the example of some fold mountains are Rhine Valley and Vosges mountain in Europe. So let's see what is volcanic mountain. Volcanic mountains are formed due to volcanic activity. So how does the volcanic mountains are formed? Volcanic mountains are formed due to volcanic activity. Some important volcanic mountains were Kilimanjaro in Africa, Mount Fujiyama in Japan. These Kilimanjaro and Fujiyama are highly active mountain volcanoes still now. Then the mountains are very useful. How the mountains are very useful? Because it creates so many problems and natural disaster. Mountains are storehouse of water. So the mountains are storehouse of water. Many rivers have their source in glacier and the mountain. So mountains are the storehouse of water. Many rivers have their glacier and storehouse of water in the mountain itself. The reservoirs are made and the water is harnessed for the use of people. So the mountain water is very useful for the people. It is used for irrigation, hydroelectricity, and the river valley and the terraces are the ideal cultivation for the crops. There are also variety of the rich flora and fauna are growing in the areas of the mountain ranges. Okay. So here is a picture of the volcanic mountain, and there is a picture of how the volcanic mountain erupt and the volcano being erupted outside. We can find that the magma which is concentrated on the inside of this volcano, and due to the high pressure, this magma is bursted out towards the break portion or this fault portion through a huge cloud of steam and the volcanic ashes and the fire. Okay, so it is how that the volcano erupt. Then the mountains, what are the uses of mountains? From mountains we collect gum, raisins, and the mountain provide idealistic site for tourism. Isn't it? Several mountain ranges are the ideal places for tourism. They visit mountains for scenery, sliding, hang gliding, paragliding, river rafting, skiing, and the popular activities in the mountains. Okay, so the mountain and the mountain ranges are very useful for the tourism, money marketing, and several natural product collection also. Okay, so let's see the second form of the earth, that is plateau. So what is plateau? Plateau is an elevated flat land, and it is a flat topped table land standing above the surrounding area. That means plateau is an top portion, that means plateau is an upraised portion which is surrounded by the small portion. That means a plateau is always higher than that of surrounding area. A plateau may have one or more sides with the steep slopes. That means the plateau have the steep slopes regarding other areas. The height of the plateau often varies from the few hundred meters to several thousand meters, and the plateau may, like the mountains, may be young or old. The Deccan Plateau in the India is one of the oldest plateau, and the East African Plateau in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, and the West Plateau of Australia are the other examples of the plateaus. Okay. In the figure we can find the Tibetan Plateau, that means 5.1. okay, the picture 5.1 shows the Tibetan Plateau. And what is the specialty of Tibetan Plateau? The Tibetan Plateau is the highest plateau in the world with a height of 4,000 meters to 6,000 meters above the mean sea level. Okay, so which is the highest plateau in the world? Tibetan Plateau is the highest plateau in the world, and the oldest plateau in India is Deccan Plateau. And other examples of plateaus were East African Plateau in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and Western Plateau in Australia. Okay, the plateaus are very useful because they are rich in mineral deposit. As a result, many mining areas in the world are located. That means located in the plateau areas. The African Plateau is very famous for gold and diamond mining. In India, the huge reserves for the iron, coal, and the manganese are found in Chota Nagpur Plateau. Okay, Chota Nagpur Plateau is in Jharkhand area. Okay, so the African Plateau is famous for gold and diamond mining, and in India the iron, coal, manganese are found in Chota Nagpur Plateau. In the plateau areas there are several waterfalls, and the rivers fall from the height, and there, for example, there is Hundru Falls in Chota Nagpur Plateau on the river Subarnarekha, and the Jog Falls in Karnataka are example of such waterfalls. Okay, so let's look into the third part of that, means the third portion, that is the plains. What are the plains? Plains are the large stretched flat area, and they are generally not more than 200 meters above the mean sea level, and some plains are very high, that of extremely level, and some are slightly rolling to the undulating. Most of the plains are formed by the rivers and their tributaries, and these rivers flow down to the slopes for the mountains and erode them, and they carry forward for the eroded materials, and then the deposit of their load constanding stones and stand silting towards the courses in the valleys, and it is also forms a deposit, that is the plain are formed. Okay, so the plains are formed due to the erosion of the rivers, and that means eroded particles are composited towards another area which together to form a plain which does not exceeds above 200 meters. Okay, generally the plains are very fertile, and the construction of transport network is very easy. Thus the plains are very thickly populated regions of the world. Okay, some example of the plains in the world are in Asia there is a Ganga and Brahmaputra plain in India, and Yangtze plains in China. Okay, the plains are most useful area for human habitation. They are great concentration of the people, as the more flat land is available for building of house as well as cultivation. For example, as we say that there is Indo-Gangetic plain, which is a mostly populated region of the country. Okay, so let's move to the last topic, that is the landforms and the people. That means which in this headings we can find how the people living in different areas. That means it's a simple concept we can discuss. The humans have been living on the different kinds of landforms in the different ways. The life is difficult in mountain areas, plains, which provides for the much better conditions. It is easy to grow crops, build a house or the road in the plain than a mountain. Okay, so it is easy to build a house or a road in plain than a mountain. Some natural calamities such as earthquake, volcano eruption, storms, flood, which causes a widespread destruction and the huge loss of life and the property take place, and by the creative awareness about such indices we may lower the risk. That means it is better to build their houses. That means it is better to take the residing places as safer places. Okay, so it is better not to construct houses on the ridges of the mountains or something like that. It's better to construct the houses on the plain areas. That means it is very useful for the cultivation as well as construction. Okay, here is a small box which shows an important information regarding our latest Swachh Bharat mission. We can go through it. Swachh Bharat mission, which means healthy mind lives in healthy body, and for a healthy body the clean environment is particularly clean water, air and hygienic surroundings prerequisites are very necessary. Okay, so Swachh Bharat aims for a clean environment. So we need a clean environment which have the clean water, air and hygiene surroundings. Swachh Bharat mission, a government of India program, aim to achieve all these for people. So what is the aim of Swachh Bharat? Aim of Swachh Bharat is to maintain a clear environment which is suitable for the living condition for the people in India. Okay, so these are the main components in this chapter. It's very easy chapter, and just go through your textbook along with listening to this lecture, so that you can easily get this chapter. I hope you all enjoy this lecture and understand this chapter. So if you are satisfied, then like this video, subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. Thank you.